Don't be scared. I'm the super sweet monster with the super sweet new cereal, Count Chocula.
Biffle, here's the super sweet new cereal, Frankenberry.
But I've got chocolate sweeties for monstrous chocolate flavor.
Well, I got berry-flavored sweeties for monster strawberry flavor.
Count Chocula.
Frankenberry.
Hi.
Frankenberry.
Count Chocula.
There is truth in advertising, yes I swear. Got new Nikes on my feet and Vidal Sassoon in my hair. I can sure use a Budweiser Fruit of the Loom underwear. There is truth in advertising, I swear. Why would they lie to me when they love what they sell? Plus we all know that the liars have a special fire in hell. On the television, radio, and in the magazines, the advertising gods perpetuate the American dream. Advertising, let it be, let it be. Now I know that I don't need to buy everything they try to sell me, but so easily divided is a fool and his money. There is truth in advertising, let it be. Why would they lie to me when they love what they sell? Plus we all know that the liars got a special fire in hell. On the television, radio, and in the magazines, the advertising gods perpetuate the American dream.
In the 1970s, monsters finally started to make an impact on entertainment. Between monster movies like Godzilla getting played regularly on television and re-emerging classics like Creature from the Black Lagoon and Frankenstein finding a whole new audience and a whole new generation, there was also a hit TV show called The Munsters. The Munsters, which aired the same year and surprisingly achieved higher ratings, was sort of another network's answer to the Addams Family. They were a happy family of monsters who loved one another, even if they were more typically sitcom-like than the Addams Family ever were. But the show was a hit, and kids grew up on it clamoring for more monster-related content. General Mills, not ones to let something pass by without attempting to make a buck off it, immediately got to work. Dancer Fitzgerald, General Mills' advertising agency, were asked to come up with a commercial campaign that would net them results like Tony the Tiger had claimed. By this point in time, mascots for cereal brands had become bona fide superstars in the grocery aisles. Kids, they figured, loved cereal mascots and they wanted a piece of that pie. Finally, in March 1971, originally conceived by Laura Levine in 1969, along with illustrators and animators George Cern, Bill Tullis, and Bill Melendez, respectively, brought to the world Count Chocula. The monster cereal lineup brought us a few characters along with the Count, including Frankenberry, Boo Berry, and Fruit Brute, who started as a werewolf, then was discontinued fairly quickly, and then, almost just as quickly, reintroduced in 1987 as Fruity Yummy Mummy. Personally, I prefer the idea of a werewolf over a mummy fronting a cereal, especially because the name Fruit Brute just sounds cooler, but that's just me. And while the other monsters fell by the wayside, it was Frankenberry and the Count, who, fun fact, has the first name of Alfred, that went on to becoming two big-name recognizable stars. Count Chocula does what a lot of cereals these days do. Turn your milk into chocolate milk. A fairly new concept at the time, but rather old hat now. Frankenberry, on the other hand, produced strawberry milk, which incidentally had another byproduct. You see, the dye used in the cereal to turn it pink was having the same exact effect on consumers', shall we say, bathroom habits. Parents quickly became concerned about their children's pink stool, but the side effect was essentially harmless, so General Mills opted not to change the dye. Didn't seem to make much of a difference, as sales for the cereals soared sky-high despite this. As somewhat touched on earlier, the characters were essentially created by a woman named Laura Levine, a former copywriter for the Dancer Fitzgerald agency, who was told that, "We need something akin to Cap'n Crunch." Thusly, she came up with multiple ideas, but ultimately stuck to the two big ones, parodies of Count Dracula and Frankenstein's monster, which she promptly named Count Chocula and Frankenberry. Where the name Alfred comes from is a totally unknown story, near as we can figure, but it's pretty cool to know that something as iconic as Count Chocula was created by a woman. The ads were an enormous success, partially because the appeal of the monsters was that they weren't scary. In fact, they were scared by everything, including children. The ads performed well, except for perhaps the live-action one they did, which understandably freaked a lot of people out. Just imagine if one day a real tiger was hawking cereal to you instead of the adorable animated face of Tony that we've come to know and trust. Unsettling, to say the least. Though, despite the cereal's massive success, in 2010, General Mills decided to stop year-round production on them. Instead, they became seasonal cereals, obviously used to celebrate Halloween. This is a shame, honestly, and we've never been able to really pinpoint why exactly this happened. Our theory is the same as why the Disney Vault used to exist. By creating limited supply, you create endless demand. If something's only available for a brief period of time, it therefore becomes more valuable and makes people more excited for it when it's finally back on the shelf. A solid idea marketing-wise, certainly, but a shame nonetheless, since the cereals are not only iconic, but also delicious.
Tommy G meets the Monster Mellows in Count Chocula cereal.
I created something big.
Big marshmallows!
Huge marshmallows. So monstrously huge, they're Monster Mellows in Count Chocula cereal.
So huge they're...
The marshmallowy part of this complete breakfast.
Enjoy.
I will!
Count Chocula and Monster Mellows, and Frankenberry and Monster Mellows, both good in a big way.
Count Chocula and the rest of the gang also have the honor of being the longest-running cereal mascots in pop culture history, which, based on that fact alone, should net them a year-round distribution, quite frankly. It's worth noting that the two original cereals were the first and only chocolate and strawberry-flavored cereals on the market, and created following the success of Lucky Charms, which also featured marshmallow bits. Artist George Carn, who drew the original Trix Rabbit in 1959, also sketched the first images of our beloved Count. Personally, we at Dead Mascots think it's a downright shame that the cereals aren't produced year-round, but there's something else we want to say about this, and that is this. Cereal mascots are beloved, but for a different reason than other mascots. They're beloved because a lot of us spend every single morning with them in one way or another. Despite what people may tell you, lots of folks still have brand loyalty, and once they choose a cereal they really love, they'll stick with it, and thusly its mascot for life. Because they're part of a day-to-day routine instead of just a commercial on TV trying to get you to buy a hamburger or something, we become very attached without even really noticing it. It's why we cringe at Toucan Sam's new design, and why we miss the original Cookie Crisp mascots. Because these are characters that, especially as children who ate cereal for breakfast every morning, we become incredibly close to without even realizing it's happening. Your father might leave early for work. Your mother might be preoccupied with household duties. Both your folks might have jobs and not be able to drive you to school. But every single morning, you know who's there at the table with you? The mascot for your cereal. Feeding you, keeping you company, and in the case of Count Chocula, wanting you to know that really it's okay to be scared of things in the world, as long as you have a friend who's willing to be scared right along with you.
You've come for my delicious cereal, Count Chocula.
It's chocolatey good.
With a devilishly good chocolatey flavor and tasty marshmallows. Wrong air, Count. Kids come calling for my Frankenberry cereal. It's frightfully good with strawberry flavor and tasty marshmallows.
What a treat.
Count Chocula. Frankenberry.
We like both.
You can enjoy this good, nutritious breakfast with
Frankenberry. Count Chocula.